Well, the United States, the United Kingdom, and France launched in response to a suspected chemical attack in Syria. To help us now sort through the political news of the day and also to talk about the passing of former United States First Lady Barbara Bush, we welcome now Lee Bynes to the set.
Good to be back.
Hey, good to have you. First of all, let's talk about the passing of Barbara Bush at the age of 92 years old. One who has been known for her outspokenness, quietness, but yet still very, when it comes to America, community-minded.
Well, you know what? She was not only influential, but again, like you said, she kept her second opinions about what was going on, both in her husband's administration as well as her son's administration. Let's face it, she's a very, very unique character in American history to have been married to a president and her son follow through. But yeah, I think the country will miss her. She's, did a lot for the country. She gave a lot of herself, a lot of time. The type of things that she had to be exposed to on two fronts was very, very difficult. So I think we do owe her some words of compliments.
And a lot of historians are now looking back and saying, as far as she's concerned, the only person in U.S. presidential history to be both the wife and the mother of the United States president.
It's historic, but on the other hand, we want to make sure that something like that doesn't necessarily happen again. The country, 300 and some odd million strong, I think that we can escape the idea of having developing dynasties, if you will.
Let's talk about the other news of the day, the airstrikes going towards Syria, also in response to the United States. What can we make of this and where are things going now?
Well, your opening was pretty interesting and pretty accurate when you said suspected chemical weapons use, because that has yet to be verified and substantiated by any of the independent investigators who are charged with that. We have the organization that's charged with making sure that the proliferation or use of chemical weapons is on the downside. Those folks have just gotten into Syria to begin their inspections. The problem with that is that the UK, the United States, and French went ahead with the airstrikes before the investigation could actually determine if it actually happened in the first place, and if so, who was responsible. There's a lot of meat on the bones that we can get off of this story, as I mentioned earlier, because simply when you look at what happened, it was the United States leading the way. I was interested. I was very, very surprised that the French followed, because their population is very, very apprehensive after what happened with the Iraq War debacle. The former Prime Minister of the Brits took a lot of heat. Tony Blair took a lot of heat because he was considered George Bush's lapdog, if you will, for following along and getting involved in that situation. And now we have this incident that occurred. I'm not actually certain whether or not that there was any chemical weapons use, and neither is Congress, because Lindsey Graham, as well as the senator from Tennessee, Bob Corker, came out yesterday, in fact, and said they had a meeting with a confidential briefing with the president, and they were very, very disturbed as to what they heard. So even General Mathis mentioned in his speak with Congress is that he wasn't absolutely certain. They said that there was a lot of evidence that pointed that way, but there was no actual proof.
And if we talk about suspected, well, let's say it's not. If it's not, then what does that mean for the United States?
Well, it means that there's one notch lower on the credibility level. And right now, after George W. Bush's incursion into Iraq, and after the type of president that we've had for the last 15 months, who has a very, very difficult time sticking with the truth, that's going to make a lot of people think twice, if not three times, before they want to work out a deal with the United States. Not only that, but there's a lot of blowback coming right now in the White House against Nikki Haley, ambassador to the UN. She's out front talking about that there were going to be sanctions against Russia. Now, all of a sudden, the White House is saying there will not be any sanctions. What does all of this mean? It ties us back to what's with the next story that's on the agenda, which is James Comey. He's right now going on a book tour, telling the nation pretty much everything that he has witnessed with regards to the president, and he's actually called the president out for being an unmitigated liar. There's no other way to put it. So all of those things being said, we really don't know what to think going forward with regards to Syria, because the United States really doesn't have, or hasn't articulated thus far, a plan, a strategy, a road forward in Syria, whether we're going to stay or whether we're going to get out.
Let me backtrack to the breaking news we had last week. When we came on the air last week, we talked about Paul Ryan making the announcement that he would not seek re-election, and the GOP's response to that. 1 week later, after that, what can we say, and what does things look like for the GOP?
It pretty much looks the same. In fact, since he made that announcement, several other Republicans have already said that they won't be running in the 2018 election. They're going to let their terms expire. That being said, they're giving more evidence to the fact that there is a blue wave coming in the near future in this next election.
What are we to make of this, given the fact that, as we are talking about Paul Ryan, just last week he made the announcement that he would be stepping down and not seeking re-election? A lot of people have been up in arms about whether or not Paul Ryan actually, whether this was staged, whether there's more to it, whether there's a smoking gun here, whether he's going to be a part of that investigative process that goes on into the possible impeachment tactics of the president. What can we make of this?
Well, if in fact there is a blue wave coming, the Democrats will have the numbers to impeach the president if they decide to do that. However, James Comey in his book tour said that these folks shouldn't be let off the hook. The voters, in other words, the voters should not be let off the hook. It's the voters' responsibility to go into the voting booth and vote their values, their conscience. And because if this president is impeached and forced out of office on a congressional from Congress doing this, there's going to be a substantial amount of people in the country that's going to say that he was railroaded. They will never believe it. So the best thing, in my view, is perhaps we have to suffer through another 2 years of this administration and actually let the people have their say. That's pretty much the bottom line.
Moving towards the midterm elections, though, obviously with all these things in Ryan and several others say we will not seek re-election, where does this put the GOP, given the fact that you want to maintain control, but yet still it looks like, from what we've seen, Democrats have been able to come away with victories in some key areas.
They have, and the one advantage that the Republicans have enjoyed up until now is the fact that they've been able to generate a lot of donor money coming in. With so many people coming to the fore saying that they will not be running again, it kind of like sends the message that, look, this is a loser right now, stay away from it. Why invest in a situation that's not going to net any gains down the line? So the GOP, from my estimation, could have a money problem coming up very, very soon. And money and politics, they go hand in hand. Without the money, it walks.
Mm-hmm. So let's take a look going forward, upcoming week. What can we expect coming up this week?
Well, you know what? Based on what's happening in Syria, I think that we can look forward to Congress taking a more active role. They've been working, or the United States has been working on an long overdue AUMD, the authorization for use of force. Mm-hmm. And Congress have abdicated their responsibilities in that regard big time. And that's one of the reasons why Donald Trump was able to go ahead and launch this strike without Congress having their say. That was a mistake. Congress holds the purse strings to any military activity going forward. Now, don't get me wrong, the president has a certain amount of latitude in the event that there's a self-defense issue, that they have to protect interests in other parts of the world. But when we're talking about a continuous, sustained activity in another country, that's Congress's responsibility to sit down with the president, find out what's going on, and get Congress's okay moving forward. One of the reasons why they haven't done it is because not very many politicians after 9/11 want to actually put their name on it and say, yes, I voted for this action, because it can be used against them. That may be one of the reasons why Hillary Clinton isn't president today, is because Barack Obama voted against it, she voted forward, he was right, she was wrong, he's the president, she wasn't.
That's why we bring in Lee Bynes, our political analyst. Lee, thanks much.
Good to be here.
All righty, listen, taking a quick break, but stay tuned. We've got more open coming up in just a few seconds. Stay with us. We're coming right back after this.